Visitor Center a few minutes ago. And up here on the diagram, the Visitor Center is right there at the top of the canyon. We came down on the elevator just now about 500 feet. Got off the elevator right there on that yellow line, walked up the tunnel, and that's where we now are. We're in one of these four large diversion tunnels, these things are called, standing over that large pipe you were just looking at through the window there. Now that large pipe that obviously runs right underneath this room we're standing in, it's full of water right now. It's carrying the water from Lake Mead, which is out in that direction. That water is being delivered through that water carrying pipe right now to big generators to help make electricity. The pipe has a name, by the way. It's called a penstock pipe. And we're going to show you the generators next on your tour, as I said. Now, this canyon where the dam is located and where we're standing right now also has a name. This is called Black Canyon. But you know this was not the first choice of where they wanted to build this thing. They actually wanted to build Hoover Dam 20 miles from here upriver at a location called Hoover Canyon. But for a lot of different reasons, Boulder Canyon wasn't suitable. They simply moved the project here to Black Canyon. One of the reasons for that move was the height of the canyon walls here. Now, as it turns out, they could build a much taller dam here than they could upriver, and that was kind of important because that would allow them a much bigger reservoir eventually behind the dam. Today, of course, we call that large reservoir Lake Mead. Once this site was fully determined, they realized, well, another problem. Got to deal with this before we can start on the dam. And the problem was, what were they going to do at the river while they built the dam? Because the Colorado River at that time had a reputation. It was supposed to be one of those dangerous rivers in the whole world because it was very unpredictable. It's hard to know what the thing was going to do. Well, it flows right through the canyon here, so what to do with the river? Well, what they, of course, came up with is they simply decided to divert it to four huge diversion tunnels, they're called, two on either side of the river, the canyon walls. We're standing right in the middle of one of those. You know, it's looking at 40% of the construction time on these tunnels. That's 2 years of the final 5-year building period. Very labor intensive. Each one of these things 4,000 feet long and 56 feet in diameter. And then, because they knew the tunnels would eventually be used for this pipe we're standing over, to stabilize the tunnels, they went ahead and lined each one of them with 3 feet of concrete. Now, at that point, they were doing a little thinking here, because then they went ahead and made use of all the dirt, rock, and rubble from these tunnels to create 2 temporary dams out of it called coffer dams. Those were put in place to isolate things, to isolate that construction area so that they could then build the dam. The upper coffer dam here was 100 feet tall. Half a mile down there, the lower coffer dam a little smaller than that. Once those were in place, they could then go on to the next step. Everything was in steps here. And this is probably one of the hardest ones, by the way, when they had to physically force the Colorado River off its natural path to go through the 4 tunnels, exiting downriver here. And once that was accomplished, only then could they start building the dam. Long process to get there. And you know that happened on June the 6th, 1933 at exactly 11:20 that morning. They know it was that exact moment because they took the time to photograph that historic first bucket of concrete out there. Now, the first bucket arrived, and then 78 seconds after that, the second one got there. And you know, folks, from that moment on, that pace continued around here. From then on, every 78 seconds, another bucket of concrete was arriving on site. That went on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for about 2 straight years until Hoover Dam was finished. And when it was, the tallest dam in the whole world was then sitting right there on the Colorado River. Now, once they had the dam finished and sitting there, they found they really didn't need the first part of these tunnels that they spent so much time on. That's anything that's kind of orange color here. Didn't really need that anymore. So, to stop the flow of water, they decided to put these 400-foot-long concrete plugs on the tunnels. Once the plug was installed, that was to allow them to start using some water to fill up Lake Mead out here. They had to keep the river flowing, of course, but they held some of it back to that purpose. It took 6.5 years to completely fill Lake Mead doing it that way. It is, by the way, the largest man-made lake in the United States sitting out there. It holds about 9 trillion gallons of water. In the last year of filling the lake, which was 1941, they did something very unusual, but they did it for a purpose. Everything was for a purpose around here. They overfilled the lake, and they did that for one reason. They wanted to test the spillway. Now, the spillway is a drain. They wanted to make sure it would work. Kind of like the upper drain in your bathtub at home. If the lake is ever getting too full, which happens, I'll give you an example of that in a moment, what do they want that water to do? Well, they don't want it to go over the top of the dam. That'll cause some damage down here, but they do want it to go over the spillways, and when that happens, it just comes out down here without hurting anything. And by the way, the only year in the 78-year history of this dam that we had to use the spillway was 1983. There was so much water in the lake that year that it was going over our spillway for about 2 straight months that was going on. It was spectacular if you had a chance to be here, but also very rare occasion. Don't look for it in the near future. You may have noticed how low the lake is. Now, one final thing I would like to mention to you before we move on. And that is the fact that there's still a lot of water in the lake, even though it's about half full. There's still about 4 trillion gallons of water out there. But it's actually not needed in the lake. It's needed by these generators over here. How do we get it there? Well, we do that through these 4 very impressive-looking towers that sit out there in the lake called intake towers. There are openings at the bottoms of those 4 towers. And as I'm talking to you right now, water from Lake Mead is falling into those openings. The water is falling downward to the pipe system. We're standing over part of that system right now, and that water is passing beneath your feet from Lake Mead right now at the rate of 96,000 gallons of water every second. That water is on its way to the generators, and that, by the way, is where we're going right now. Now, you have to get back on the elevator to do that for you. So let me go first. I'll be counting off half of us into that first elevator. So please stay in line with your family and friends. I'll try to get you on the same elevator, but let me go first, please. Thank you.